Hello, I'm Sweet Gwendolyn, and this is Queer Quarantine Day 9. And I've decided not to wear glasses anymore, or try it out this time, just because the reflection was getting to be a bit of a problem. I'm doing this on Facebook Live this time. Tried it once before, had some problems. Just I give it one more shot. Hello, today is. I just realized the problem. I can't see my computer well enough without them. March 29th, 2020, and it's a Sunday. And also miraculously, for some reason, my hair is staying out of my face today. So it's a whole new look for me. Anyway, yeah, I have a bunch of updates. I took yesterday off, I think maybe doing it every single day for what's looking like it's going to be months and months and months might be a little overly ambitious, but I'm going to try and keep it pretty regular. And let's just jump into it because a ton of stuff happened or is happening. I need to do a little catch up here, but I'm just going to go down the list of headlines that I cut and paste. So Texas has determined that gun stores are essential business, according to our attorney general. However, abortions are not. The Marshall Project has been monitoring crime statistics and has seen drops in crime in a number of major cities. Interstate travel is becoming a major nightmare. Rhode Island is actually currently going door to door trying to find New Yorkers. They're pulling over people with New York plates. They were saying that hotels and rental houses had to provide local authorities with information on their renters. The ACLU was objecting to this. New York was objecting to this. They were trying to find them so that they could tell them they had to quarantine for 14 days, and I guess they were going to keep tabs on them. I think they agreed earlier today to back off on that a little bit. And also, I mean, New York is head and shoulders above everyone else, but I mean, this thing is just like so completely everywhere. I don't know if, if you over focus on New York, you can just miss all the other people bringing it in from everywhere else. So I don't know. Also, like along these lines, Kentucky was considering shutting its border with with Tennessee, Florida. Oh my God, no, with Tennessee, and Tennessee had like literally just I forget what it was, like 800 more cases than they did. I mean, diagnosed cases, because as we all know that most people who have this are not getting diagnosed. I have a friend who works in a doctor's office, and she told me right now they are currently, I think today is day 10, that they're waiting for someone's COVID test results to come back. And I think that's like official now. Like these days they are telling everyone it's going to be around 10 days in Austin, 10 days to get your results back. So a lot of people just aren't even bothering, I think. Anyway, the Florida Keys set up checkpoints, so no locals only in the Florida Keys right now. Our current president suggested sealing off New York, New Jersey, and parts of Connecticut, which wouldn't be exactly legal, but he seemed to just be kind of doing it as a fuck you because you're not kissing my ass enough, and then back down when everyone pointed out that they're already doing shelter in place orders there, and what are you talking about, and how would you do this, and just spitballing here, trying to rattle people's cages, I guess. And then, like, possibly the most upsetting news on this sort of front is that both South Carolina and Mississippi are overriding local ordinances to protect people against the virus. South Carolina is by far the worst of the two. Columbia, South Carolina, put a shelter-in-place ordinance in effect, and their attorney general tripped over himself running to tell everyone that he didn't think that was legal. Hey, he's not telling anyone what to do, but And yes, I did watch the interview, but he's just trying to advise everyone that he didn't think that was legal. So if they go around trying to arrest people, then they can expect to be sued. And so essentially they're saying that any local ordinance that is passed to shelter in place is not valid. And only the governor can do it, and he's not doing it because that would be bad for business. That is the Southern Republican mantra right now, is that they don't want to do anything that's bad for business. And there are still some holdout states that won't even do anything at all. Mississippi, by the way. So Slate said that they were overriding local ordinances, but the only thing that I could find was just that they had a very incredibly broad list of what they consider an essential service that is much broader than the cities that have passed local shelter-in-place essential business only ordinances. So what they said was that their list, which leaves most things open, overrode the local ordinances. And I mentioned this the other day, but he's done it again. And also it turns out I didn't correctly sum up how bad it was when I mentioned it the other day, but he has again threatened governors with withholding medical supplies if they don't kiss his ass enough. And if they criticize him for his response, well, then maybe I won't give you any supplies at all. God, I forget which governor. It was a female governor, maybe Indiana. I don't remember. But in the end, people finessed the situation and she got what she needed. But just, God damn, like, stop playing with people's lives, you know? And along those lines, hate crimes against Asians are continuing to skyrocket. I've decided that whether it's people suffering from the disease or hate crimes or just stuff that's going on, I don't want to get into individual cases because it's too heartbreaking and I'm very sensitive and it makes me tear up a little just thinking about all the individual suffering. But I will say that I read about a incredibly disturbing hate crime earlier today, and it was already out of hand, but that crossed such a line. It's really, really out of hand, and having the president, I mean, thankfully he finally stopped a few days ago, but just insisting on calling it the Chinese virus all this time just really put a lot of people in danger, you know. Let's see. Oh, in other news, I don't even know how this information came available, but they're saying that the reports of the number of urns being delivered to Wuhan suggests that they greatly underreported the number of deaths they had there, which officially was 3,299, but one place in particular was reported to have ordered 10,000 urns. Although the flip side of that is, I mean, people die from other things. You know, people just die over a period of time anyway. And I'm sure that the situation makes things worse. People can't get the medical attention they need for other things or depression or whatever. So I don't know. But at the same time, they're a total authoritarian regime. And I would totally expect them to underreport the number of cases or deaths they have, just like I expect the US to do the same thing. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say earlier, by the way, not only is it taking 10 days for the test to get results, I don't know if this is still the case, but my friend who works as a medical assistant told me that the original test they were using was only 60% effective, meaning in terms of, I don't know that it gave false positives, but it gave 40% false negatives. So you could totally have it and take the test and be told that you don't have it. So that's definitely causing underreporting as well. I think they're switching over to new tests. The original one was very clunky. And also, this happened a while ago. I just haven't mentioned it, but there's been a lot of criticism of the fact that the Pandemic Preparedness Office that was a part of the National Security Council was dissolved in 2018 by the current administration. I'm glad it's getting a bit of scrutiny because it deserves scrutiny. I don't think that's necessarily tied into Republican or Democrat. I feel like, if something isn't actively happening, it's hard to get the attention and funding you need. But that's still a really bad idea. I mean, really dissolve the department completely? I don't know. Let's see. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Oh, right. And other major corporations that comes out, surprise, surprise, have been lobbying against the Trump enacting the Defense Production Act, or technically he enacted it, but he's refusing to use it, is probably the best way to put it. That act is what allows the government to say, hey, you with this factory, we need this stuff for national security, basically, and you have to make it. And it was, under wartime, so if we had wartime shortages, that what the nation needed could be manufactured. And this, much of what, I haven't discussed this on this vlog yet at all, but how a lot of this has been going is that people are basically treating this like a wartime situation. There's been a lot of solidarity. I feel like a lot of what's happening probably has not happened since World War II in terms of solidarity and everyone pitching in and trying to help. There's been such wonderful altruism. There's been a lot of really beautiful things happening, but not from the economic sector. And it was just too short-sighted to see that if we don't nip this in the bud and it keeps playing out for the next year and a half until we have a vaccine, that and it could be longer than a year and a half, that's worse for the economy than if we, just shut it down for 2 months, which I know is very painful, but everyone else is doing it. Okay. India with 1.3 billion people is doing a stay-at-home order. If they can do it, I am sure that we can. And also Spain, Italy, France, Korea, China. I mean, just everyone else pretty much in the world is doing this. They're either doing it now or they're getting ready to do it soon. But in the US, that would be bad for business. And maybe it's better that we just accept that some people are going to die and we all get back to work. So anyway, yeah, that was the behind the scenes explanation. Trump put the law, he invoked the law, but he has been refusing to use it for medical supplies, by the way, is what that would be for, primarily ventilators and masks. And so, yeah, and people are soon to be dying from these shortages. In fact, medical personnel have already started dying in this country from a lack of equipment. So it's just horrible to just helplessly watch horrible decisions driven by greed that are killing people being made. Anyway, but as far as the quarantine stuff goes on the local level, Austin just, thank goodness, announced that the quarantine was going to go on for longer than originally planned. I forget what the original date it was supposed to end by was, but I think it was another 2 weeks from now, like mid-April. The mayor today was saying that, yeah, it looks like we're probably going to have to make that go a bit longer as we see what's unfolding, especially in New York City, and that we're very lucky that we got the head start on it that we did, which is true. And honestly, I think he was only talking about pushing it back to the end of April, which is also what he said that yesterday. And Trump today was miraculously saying that he was going to keep the national social distancing guidelines in place till the end of April. So he's walked back the whole thing about wanting the church pews full on Easter to pander to his base and or his imagined base. I am pretty sure that religious people like living too. So, but yeah, I still am under the impression that I don't see a way that this is going to end any sooner than June. because I think the only solution is to have a national shelter-in-place order while we're all doing it at the same time, so that we don't have this patchwork where people, reinfect areas that got it under control. So actually, let me give you some exact numbers. I found, I've been hearing about it. I just didn't want to look at it. The website that gives the exact numbers of how many cases there are with live updates. If anyone wants the address, it's www.worldometers.info/coronavirus. And so at this moment, there are 141,812 coronavirus cases in the US. We have skyrocketed to 2,475 deaths. You might recall just a few days ago, it was 1,100. And we have 4,435 people who have officially recovered. Texas's listing in there is, we have 2,808 official cases. 479 of those are new. I don't know what qualifies, like what time period is new, the last week, last day. I don't know. We've had 38 total deaths, and we actually just the other day had the very first death in Travis County. Out in the world, total number of worldwide cases is 721,330, and worldwide deaths are 33,956. But as far as how that breaks down, unfortunately, Italy is way in the lead. Sorry. There we go. Well, sorry, the U.S. is way in the lead for a number of cases, like head and shoulders. Italy's after us, but they're way ahead in deaths, but that's just because it hit there first. So we will, unfortunately, probably be catching up with them. They have had 97,689 total cases and 10,779 cases, deaths. 10,779 deaths, and like 900 of those were just yesterday. So it's still really peaking there. In terms of deaths, I mean, that's the thing when you do a shelter in place, it takes a while for it to finish playing out, because while it limits the amount, first of all, people who are already infected may not show symptoms till up to 2 weeks into it. And on top of that, the people that they're sheltering in place with are likely to be infected, although the idea is that they won't pass it on to anyone else. So that's why it can take up to 2 months of sheltering in place to get the situation under control. But anyway, after that, China, who doesn't really have that many active cases, is total stat-wise after that. And then Spain, Germany, France, Iran, the UK, Switzerland, the Netherlands. And so that's how all that is going. And let's see. Oh, and some much needed medical supplies arrived at JFK, and the federal government did do that. So as much as I complain, I will recognize the good as well. Also around the country, convention centers are being prepped as field hospitals, as well as here. Although I think here they're setting it up at Auditorium Shores. In New York City, they're setting up a field hospital in Central Park, because they're just days away from needing it for overflow. Also, I should have put this back under the interstate travel weirdness, but Texas announced restrictions for anyone flying in from LA, Detroit, or New York City, but only if you're flying. And it's just, again, this whole, like, I don't know why we're trying to, like, patchwork. Like, you focus so hard on New York City that you don't see the cases coming in from, Montana. I mean, it's everywhere, the restrictions, though, are just that everyone has to quarantine for 14 days upon arrival, but it's apparently enforced with law enforcement. So, and then, like, just nationally, lots of countries are closing their borders. People are stranded everywhere. I know Peru's closing its borders, but I mean, there's so many countries that are doing it. I think most of South America, or just everywhere, honestly. South America was just what I was reading about in the news today, but and that leaves lots of people stranded everywhere. Of course, here the focus is on stranded Americans, but I mean it applies to everyone in all countries because as they close the borders and ban travel, just if you didn't get out, then a lot of people are stuck. Although the State Department is working to get people home, and there has been a high-profile death, although it was not someone I was familiar with, but apparently a pretty famous country singer died. His name was Joe Diffie. He was 61. He had a number of number one hits in, I think, the 90s. So and I also forgot to say Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, was diagnosed. And I don't know, it's just this really surreal thing. Which celebrity will have coronavirus next? I think that unfortunately it makes it more real for people, including the deaths. And I'm so sorry that it's happening. And I guess we'll see how it plays out, but I mean, I think we know how it plays out. And then the last piece of news is just that there's a experimental treatment where they're trying blood transfusions from people who have recovered from the virus to see if the antibodies in their blood can serve to help people who are, in the hospitals and are very affected. So, that's a lot. So yeah, that's the headlines for today and yesterday. And let's see, as for my personal life, what is going on? I have been practicing my Spanish like crazy. I'm still doing about 2 to 3 hours a day. I have been spending lots of quality time with Rita, who's lying on the floor here. Look at some footage of Rita before I wrap this up. And I've been working on unpacking some boxes. And trying to get some art on the walls. I will probably show off the fruits of my labor at some point. Oh, I guess I can actually show you, if you happen to have seen the video a few days ago where I turned the camera around and showed what this room looked like. I have made some improvements on this room. I ultimately look forward to just getting this whole house ready to live in. I think I mentioned, but I moved in to this house right at the very end of December. But the thing is that they were actively working on this house for the whole time I was living in it. Like they just finished just in time for this, by total coincidence. But the timing was good. Earlier would have been better, but it was good that at least they finished when they needed to finish by. And so yeah, I didn't unpack all the stuff or put the art up because I was afraid of it getting damaged, because a lot of it was going to go in areas where they were going to be working. So I just wanted to keep things safe. But yeah, now that that's done and recent events have unfolded and I'm here and I have time to put towards making it nice here, I'm going to be doing that. So I feel like we went on some walks and people are definitely slowly getting better on the social distancing thing, which is nice. And I also just found out that my next door neighbor is really good friends with Angina, the drag queen, and that she video chatted with her earlier today. So small world. It was just like I was walking my dog. She's like, hey, I really like your new gutters. And by the way, I heard you're a drag queen. Is that true? Small world. Anyway, so yeah, here's some Rita footage, although she's sleeping. So I don't know if I really... Oh, did someone say my name? Hi, Rita. Hey, what's going on? Want to jump up? No. No, she doesn't. Well, I'll show you the progress I made on this room. Definitely still a bit more to go, but a lot nicer than it was. And oh yeah, that back wall I'm going to completely cover with rock and roll show posters, because if you can't tell, I have been a rock and roll enthusiast for much of my life, with an emphasis on punk rock, although I actually enjoy many styles of music. But anyway, I think that's it. So we'll see how this Facebook Live video winds up working when I try to post it on Tumblr. Oh, if anyone happens to know anything about posting Facebook Live videos to Tumblr, that would be great, because that was the stumbling block. For some reason, it choked on the URL and wouldn't let me post it. My situation is that I record the videos on YouTube and then I upload it to Tumblr just to have an easy, repository where everything is. And, it's just one other place to share it out. And then I link to the Tumblr page on Facebook. So it's on 3 different platforms. You can take your pick. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Tune in tomorrow and find out, although maybe not tomorrow, to be determined. Tune in in the near future and I'll update you. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Oh, am I sure I want to end? Yes. Bye-bye.